Hey there, I'm in the studio again with my beautiful wife Tracy, and we're glad you made it to week 2 of the mentor training series. And today we're going to talk about the how of mentoring. Last time we talked about why everyone should do it, and today we're going to get really, really practical about how to actually mentor. How many people do you mentor in a week, generally speaking?
Probably right now 2 to 3.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
And so we're going to just break this down, and everything that we talk about here is not philosophical or theoretical. It's something that you do. It's how you mentor people. It's how I mentor people, right? And so this is really good. Let's have a conversation about this. And again, if you're at home, I encourage you to really think about this and think about in your own life who you can do this with, right? Starting with your kids.
Absolutely.
We mentor our kids. Our kids are actually mentors now because we believe that everyone should go full circle, right? So this is something that young and old, everyone can do, okay? So the first point is this: mentoring really boils down to caring enough about a person or a couple of people to invest in them.
Yes.
What do we mean by that, investing in them in mentoring?
So that you would just care enough about them to want to spend time with them, to hear their story, to know what they're going through, and to want to help them, to apply God's truth to their life.
Right. Yeah, and it really starts with that, because it's not like you just want to try to find somebody and say, I'm going to mentor you.
Right.
And I'm going to dump a bunch of truth into your head, right?
Right.
Truth is involved.
Yes.
Right? We're speaking truth, but what is the other element that we need?
Well, I think it's important to think about how do you like people to relate to you? Do I want someone just to come at me and bark and preach at me? Well, no. I'm going to trust someone who seems like they care enough about me to know who I am, and then to speak God's truth as we go along.
Right. So Ephesians 4, it says this, 4:15, verse 15, it says, rather speaking the truth in love, we are to grow up in every way into Him who is the head, into Christ. So the key phrase there is speaking truth in love. That's what mentoring is.
Yes.
It's in the context of a relationship, speaking truth on a variety of topics.
Right.
So it's not, a lot of people, maybe when you think about disciple making, you're thinking about speaking truth, speaking the gospel into somebody. And that'll happen someday. That's part of it. But mentoring is broader than that, right? You speak truth on life topics, faith topics, on leadership topics, ministry topics, right?
Yeah, oftentimes I think people will come to meet Jesus when you come from more of a felt need, like let's say they're struggling in their marriage. And so as you walk with them and as you share God's design for marriage, and then lo and behold, through that experience, as they learn and grow in their marriage or whatever that felt need is, they come to meet Jesus along the way.
That's right. Yeah, that's happened so many times. Since I've gotten more intentional about being a mentor, not thinking about, I want to share the gospel with somebody. Again, that'll come because I care about them.
Right.
And so because I care, I'm going to invest in them.
Right.
But I'm going to invest in them in an area that they need, that they feel like they need.
Yes.
And eventually, they're going to see that this wisdom that we're sharing is actually biblical, godly wisdom.
Right.
Yeah. So the second thing is then you have to learn to develop what we call the skill of mentoring. Mentoring is a skill. Mentors are born, or they're not born, sorry. Mentors are not born. They grow.
Right.
They're built up. They learn the skill of mentoring.
Yes.
Right. So we like to describe the skill of mentoring, again, using the tools at PursueGOD.org. The skill breaks down to these 3 steps, right? Find a topic, learn about it, and then explore it with someone else in that mentoring relationship. So just describe that real quick, that first step. What are we talking about when we say find a topic?
Yeah, so when I'm in a mentoring relationship with someone, let's just use marriage, for example. They're struggling in their marriage. They've said, hey, I need some help in this area. And so I'll go on Pursue God and I'll find a topic in the life category on marriage that seems to fit where they are. And I would send that topic to them and say, hey, why don't you listen to this video and I'll listen to it also. And when we get together, that's what's going to frame our next conversation. Right.
And that's what makes it easy. So you're not, especially for you men out there, you don't want to sit down and say, I'm going to mentor you. And then you're like, well, what do you want to talk about? Right. So finding that topic's really important because it helps sort of set the trajectory, right? But the second part is also important, to learn about it on your own. So when you send out a topic, when I do it, I usually do it a couple days in advance, maybe up to a week in advance. Hey, let's talk about this one next week, right? So what are you expecting the person you're mentoring to do?
Yeah, so the idea is they're going to watch that video, maybe read through that article, and they're going to start thinking about it, kind of ruminate on that information, so that when we come together, we both have had some time to digest the information and think about it and maybe formulate even a few more questions that we might have.
Yep.
And then it's just a very natural way to have a conversation.
That's right. Yeah, so when you get together then, not only have you prepped it and thought about it and checked it out and taken some notes, but the other person you're mentoring has, or the other group you're mentoring has.
Yes.
So when you get together now, that third step is explore it together. Now it's just, hey, what'd you think? Use those discussion questions. Hey, what'd you think about that?
Right. And I promise you, it is the easiest, most freeing thing for me. It has just revolutionized the way I am in ministry. And even though I have a counseling background, mentoring and using the tools and sending a topic and kind of learning on your own and then exploring it together, it has just changed. It's just been a more freeing experience because it's more natural. And instead of getting together and be like, shoot, what do we talk about today? I don't know. Have we run our course? Or, it was harder today or whatever. To be able to just have the topic to kind of frame the conversation, it just makes it so easy.
Yeah. And after a while, you can encourage the person you're helping to pick the topic. So you're making sure that you're hitting the stuff that they want to talk about. Again, you're moving, you have a goal in mind, right? It's not like you're just trying to have a lot of great random conversations. And we'll talk more about that in the next lesson. You have a goal in mind, but it really boils down to this skill of finding a topic, sending it out so that you can both learn about it, and then just having a conversation. You'll find it's really not that hard, right? It's super simple. And that's really the whole point. That's why we put our tools together the way we did. So let's just end on this. If someone is watching this, if you're watching this and you say, okay, I want to give this thing a shot, the most practical thing that you can do right now, as far as getting started, is to start building your mentor lists, right? And there are three lists that we encourage everyone to start building, right? It's the hit list, it's the active mentoring list, and then it's the passive mentoring list. Just real quick, describe what those three things are.
So the hit list are the people that I've kind of targeted in my mind.
Right.
Like that person needs a mentor, or I think that person could eventually be a great mentor, so I'm going to reach out to that person and kind of hit that person in terms of target them.
Yes. Try to engage them in a mentoring relationship. Might be someone a little bit younger than you. I remember when we helped our daughter think through the hit list, we're like, think through a few girls that are a couple years younger than you, and then we helped her reach out to those girls, and they moved from her hit list over to her active mentoring list. She's actively mentoring, every other week, at least once a month. That's what an active mentor. It's when you're doing this with the person.
Right. So the active list then are the people that I'm actually currently in a mentoring relationship with.
Right.
And then the goal is eventually to move them to the passive list where they're ready to now, they've seen what I've been modeling for them.
Right.
Now they're ready to go mentor someone else. And so then I become more of a coach, an encourager. I don't just drop them. We might still have a mentoring relationship, but it's not as active as it once was.
Yeah, because you've moved on to help even more people.
Right.
Because the goal, we'll talk about this more next week, is to get them to go full circle and go out and start helping someone else. The goal isn't to mentor somebody till the day they die, right? Jesus didn't do it that way. That's not how we do parenting, right? We move our kids from the active list to the passive list because they have to grow up and move out and be the parents, right? And so that's really the goal. And I encourage you, if you really want to get started, one of the most practical ways to do that is just to start building those three lists. You're probably not going to have anyone on your active or passive list, but you'll have some people on that hit list.
Yeah.
We've got some videos below to help you to know how to work your hit list, some good tips on getting started with those people. But just remember, at the end of the day, it's just really simple. You develop the skill of mentoring. Our tools are there to help you to do it, so we encourage you to check out those tools and really make a decision, make a commitment to go full circle and start mentoring. Now, in the next video, the last video of our mentor training series, and we've got plenty more on mentoring in our resources, but these are the three basic things we want you to know, is we're going to talk about really the what of mentor. What are you trying to develop? What are you trying to produce as a mentor? So we'll talk about that next. But for now, why don't you use the questions below and talk about this with your group or your mentor, and we'll see you in the next video.